Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to basically a new video format, the first breakfast on this channel. Since I thought eating alone, talking to an empty chat is a little bit strange, I invited the master of video upscaling to join me. Hi Owen, how are you doing?
Hello, Captain. I'm well, thanks. Yourself?
Not bad. Had a long weekend at the spa, so I'm a little bit tired from the heat, but it's nice to have that feeling again.
Relaxed.
Relaxed, definitely. Well, the reason we are sitting here together is not only to enjoy a simple breakfast, but I thought doing a boring update video for the channel is a little bit unimaginative. So I thought, hey, I invite a previous guest and basically share what's new on my side and what's new on your side. So yeah, here we are. Before we go into the topic, let's talk about the breakfast we have before us.
What I have there is Haselnuss-Omeletten, which I'm aware is German, not Austrian. But
That's definitely true.
yeah, that's not. I didn't do it specifically for your sake. I promise.
And how often do you eat something like that?
Not very often, but not specifically that dish. I think I mentioned to you briefly yesterday. I think you said, "What time do you usually have breakfast?" And I said, "I usually don't." Which is true. I'm an incredibly lazy person. I'd rather have the extra 10 minutes in bed than pour out a bowl of cereal. But that does mean that on the rare occasions when I do have reason to have breakfast, I put the effort in and I will usually cook something. So, how often do I have this? Not very often because I don't have breakfast very often. How often do I have this for breakfast? Something like this very often, if you see what I mean.
I see, I see. Let's switch. What do I have here? This is something which most countries don't have,
Yes, what do you have there?
or at least the format don't have. It's a kind of bread roll. And it's filled, the one side, the left side, is filled with ham and cheese, and the right side is filled with butter and strawberry jam.
Oh, fantastic. So it's like a main course and a pudding.
Exactly, yeah. So you have both sides, sweet and salty. And yeah, for at least 15 years, I'm a sucker for black tea and milk.
Excellent.
So I have the snowman cup all year and drink it out of that. Never gets old.
And Christmas, your cup has Christmas sun and palm trees, right? Just to change things up.
Yeah. That's out of the way. What is new in your life? What projects did you finish in the last few months? What do you work on currently?
Well, I suppose the big news you're already aware of because we covered it in an interview for Valiant recently is we finally got around to releasing a demo of Wing Commander 4 Remastered. That has been the culmination of a massive push. It's been a labor of love. I mean, as you know, we've got a long old way to go before we fully finish the game, but we really wanted to get something out there that people could actually get hands-on with and play. So that you honestly, it seems like such a tiny vertical slice of gameplay, but it's been a huge push to get that out there. The feedback we've been getting has been spectacular.
And what on your upscaling side? I see you are quite active on the YouTube channel.
Yes, I've been having an interesting time there. What I found is, I guess technically I'm still relatively new to YouTube because I never really made a push to have it be anything more than a hobby. It's the channel is just there for my own interest to throw out my own experiments. I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, until 2 years ago, really, I was mostly just pushing up comparison things to show how my experiments with AI upscaling were going. But recently, I've been playing around with with YouTube's ability to, in real time, tell you if something's going to get copyright blocked or not. So I've been playing around with a few things, uploading them before I've even bothered to remaster them to see if it gets a copyright block. And if it doesn't, I kind of rub my hands together with a sense of glee and push through and remaster everything to do with it and push it up there. So I've been doing a bunch of British comedy TV series recently. I just finished uploading the entirety of that Mitchell and Webb look, which I remastered to 4K. And prior to that, another British comedy called Detectorists. So really, I'm just sticking as much content up there as I can get away with legally.
And do you have any copyright strikes or complaints already?
Nothing. No. Well, interestingly, This is the thing. As I say, I've been experimenting with how YouTube handles that kind of takedown requests and blocks and copyright strikes. No strikes at all, I'm happy to say. And what's interesting is I've been learning a great deal about distribution rights and international distribution rights specifically, because some things just upload absolutely fine, doesn't even get recognized that it is copyrighted material at all. Which one? Well, I think the term is either you get it just says no restrictions at all, or this has been identified as copyrighted material, but the property owner allows this content to be used on YouTube, which I've always thought was interesting. I don't entirely know what that means, but it means, you can put it up there and people can watch it. And then you get into the interesting realm where things get blocked in some countries but not in others. For example, as I say, I put up all of Detectorists, and every episode went up specifically with that message: this is copyrighted content, but the owner allows it to be used on YouTube. Except for season 3, which for some reason gets blocked in New Zealand and Australia. I have no idea why, specifically those areas. It's got to be something to do with the distribution rights down there.
It's really strange, especially during the war in Ukraine. I had many copyright flags now on my channel.
Really?
For Russia and Belarus.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I thought, okay, that's odd. Why do you primarily focus your efforts there? Of course, in the global scale, I can understand it, but it's strange for YouTube.
Yeah, well, what's been being blocked? What kind of things have you found have been blocked there?
It's mostly older stuff, and sometimes it's kind of a trailer video or a recap video what we are doing the whole year, and maybe there is some armor content in it, or maybe CIS, maybe it's the violent stuff. Could be.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't even considered that. Yeah, that is strange.
And
it's also
course,
quite...
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I do appreciate how annoying it can be when you've uploaded something, it's gone through absolutely fine, it's been sitting pretty for a while, and then you suddenly get a message saying this has now been blocked.
Yeah, totally.
I had that with... I uploaded, remastered and uploaded a couple of Peter Gabriel concerts, and the Growing Up was up there absolutely fine for about a month, and it was getting some lovely feedback. People were really enjoying it. It's always lovely to get those comments saying, "This is my favourite concert. Thank you so much. I'm enjoying watching it." And then, yeah, bang! After it had about 280 views. It had been there about a month, and then boof! I got a message saying this has been blocked. And I went into the control panel in YouTube, and certain songs which it had absolutely no issue with before, it now said can't be played, can't be played, can't be played, and the entire video got blocked on the back of that. And I don't understand why that changed. Had they found the video online and realized the content was in there, and realized that they hadn't set that content to block when they intended to, I don't understand where the decisions get made. It can be quite frustrating.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as you mentioned, I have videos for 5-6 years on my channel, and out of the sudden, it's blocked. Who had a problem with a video from a company which doesn't exist anymore?
Exactly, yeah.
The funny thing is that my recent video I uploaded is World in Conflict, which basically is the story that the Soviet Russia is attacking the entire world. So it's World War III in-game. It's fine for YouTube. No complaints here.
Well, I don't know. Let's not jinx us.
Yeah.
In terms of other projects, as you said, I mean, mostly I'm just seeing what I can, in a hobbying way, remaster, seeing how good the quality is, and sticking it up on YouTube for other people to enjoy in case they like it. But in terms of gaming, I think about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I played around with remastering and upscaling the cutscenes from Curse of Monkey Island, the third Monkey Island game. And I put a comparison video up, and a chap from Argentina called Gabriel left a message, asked if he could get in contact. And it turns out that entirely on his own, as a personal project, with no assistance from anyone else at all, he's attempting to remake that game with higher resolution graphics. So he asked if I could do him a pack of FMVs to use. So he's going to redraw by hand. It's not even AI upscaling. All the sprites, all the backgrounds, all that kind of thing. And he asked me to do him a video pack. So I did that, but Lord knows how long it's going to take him to finish the rest of that project, because that's a massive undertaking. It took me, once I got the settings down pat, it took me maybe, I think, an hour and a half to do 4K versions of every single piece of FMV in that game. Whereas I think he's going to have several years of work ahead of him for that one.
I didn't even know that there was a Monkey Island which used FMVs. I thought this was all done in-game.
Well, no. The third one is the first one after Ron Gilbert and the original Monkey Island team left. So it was a LucasArts game, but it was another team. In fact, I think it was the team who made Full Throttle that did Monkey Island 3 Curse of Monkey Island. And yeah, the graphics had gone up beyond VGA at that point, so it was all full color and a massive whopping 640 by 480 resolution. And yeah, I say FMV. It was hand animated cartoon stuff, but it was using a video format for the cutscenes rather than just sprites. Yeah, that'd be that side of things.
That sounds really difficult to combine them back into the game.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to have a hard time on that. Yeah. So, I mean, he did message me a while ago saying, life had got in the way and it was a mammoth task in the first place. So, I think it could be a long time before he gets around to completing that. But I'll look forward to it and I'll definitely play it as and when he gets around to finishing it.
Especially if it's a one-man project.
Yeah, it's a Herculean task he set himself there.
And what about your Starfleet Academy videos? Are they ready to be included?
Things have gone a little quiet there. It's been a long time since I've heard anything, so I'm afraid nothing to share. Oh, but on a side note, let me just bring up something. Someone contacted me on the Wing Commander CIC, hoping for some help with just general advice on using the software I use for video upscaling. And I passed them over and we had a bit of a chat. And it turns out he managed to get hold of a copy of the Japanese exclusive DVD edition of Star Trek Borg. So that's what he's upscaling and remastering with a little advice and some assistance. So that's something to look forward to. I'll try and look up some details and pass them to you later as to who it was that got in touch. You might want to have a word. But yeah, he's working on remastering Star Trek Borg, which I'd have a great deal of fun playing through again.
I think that could be my fault.
Why's that?
It was after we have met for the first interview. I was in the Trek BBS forum and some guy wrote about Star Trek Borg. He had the Japanese version, he has some videos. And I mentioned that we talked a few weeks ago and said, yeah, well, contact him, maybe he can help you.
Could well be then. Or it could be a coincidence and it could be someone completely different, I don't know.
Well, I guess I also have to mention, of course, this channel and the YouTube channel. Basically, the last few months, I spent a lot of time thinking in what direction I want to move the channel. And I thought, why not use all that information I collect for the podcasts and interviews to make some short guides, some mod spotlights, basically for new players. And yeah, so I'm going more and more in the direction of producing more content. I don't know how I will manage having a family, having a part-time job in the hospital, and doing YouTube. Well, I will be busy.
Life does get in the way, doesn't it?
Sadly, I need more time.
It is interesting what a compelling hobby that is. I mean, certainly I've got no aspirations to monetize or turn this into anything beyond me. Just it's as far as I'm concerned, it's somewhere that when I experiment with a piece of video, I can stick it there as somewhere to store it and maybe get some feedback from people. So there's no motivation there on my end to actually earn from this. I've got no aspirations in that direction. And yet I find myself utterly compelled to feed the beast, upload as much good footage and content as I possibly have the time to do, and I don't entirely know why.
It's, yeah, an addiction. But it's a nice addiction, I have to say. Well, and there are two other projects I would like to start, which are not that time-consuming. One is basically, I would like to invite long-time players and basically ask them why they are still playing. For example, why does a player still play Wing Commander 4 after 26 years? So why do you play it?
That's a wonderful question. I guess for me it's almost pure nostalgia. I mean, I don't think the rest of the guys on the team would kill me for saying this because we've basically said it in the FAQ on our website. that while Wing Commander 4 specifically was an excellent example, possibly the pinnacle of 90s FMV games because the production values on the video side of things were so high. I think the exact words we use in the FAQs is the gameplay has possibly not aged quite as gracefully. So I would say, aside from the remaster, which of course we're trying to bring up to modern gaming standards, make it all a bit more fun to actually play, the reason to go back to Wing Commander 4 these decades later is purely for the nostalgia of how it felt to play it when you were a teenager. Well, in my case, a teenager. The story is still spectacular. The gameplay, not so much. It's, of course, what we're working on to try and improve.
It's a little bit sad how old we are.
Do you ever watch any content from Red Letter Media?
Yeah, yeah.
You know those guys. Well, I think a phrase they pulled out a couple of times in the last few years is ours is a generation that refuses to put its toys away. This is why we're getting so many remakes and reboots, and yeah, we will not put our toys from when we were kids back in the box. We just want to keep playing with them and going, wow, 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 more, more, more. So I think there's a large chunk of that.
Yeah, and the last thing on the YouTube side would be, of course, if, and this is a strong if the negotiation is going well with my wife, I would like to introduce her into the gaming world and basically record her experience and what she is thinking.
Oh well, that's spectacular as long as she enjoys it. Because otherwise, what you're doing is tricking your wife into playing games for the amusement of other people.
That's not the goal. The goal is that she has amusement.
Lovely. If the goal is to just bring someone else the joy and amusement of the gaming world, what a lofty goal. That's lovely.
That, and I think it's also a way from me to introduce her a little bit more into my world.
Yeah, that's delightful.
She doesn't have a clue what I'm doing here. She knows I'm doing videos, she knows that I'm playing games, but yeah, not much more. It's both ways.
I have exactly the same situation. I'm generally shut away in my office. Well, certainly all throughout the workday, and then a large chunk of my free time. So, I mean, I could be up here cooking crystal meth. My wife would have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, every time she is entering the room, I would switch to something productive. When she's away, maybe it's a YouTube video about cooking mess. Yeah, and so that my life isn't totally boring, I also decided every Monday is now a fixed Monday when the hospital is allowing it. Co-op night. Basically, I'm playing games which includes full co-op experience, like a story or a survival game basically, and everyone is welcome to join me. And on the same side, I thought co-op is nice, but when personally did I have the most fun during gaming? And I came up with the idea that it was the relaxed matches against the AI on a LAN party, for example, where we all were on the same skill levels, nothing too serious, just casual gaming basically. So I thought, hey, let's do every Wednesday a noob night in which I either teach my favorite games to the audience or to other players, or yeah, just have a casual night of Age of Empires 2 or Command & Conquer, whatever.
That sounds lovely. It's a strange thing to say these days when the majority of games released now, of course, are games as a service or are multiplayer driven. As I'm sure you know, single player campaigns are becoming few and far between. Certainly games that are led that way, that's their primary goal, which is kind of bad news for me because I don't know why. Maybe it's because of where I was growing up or the people I knew. I didn't play much in the way of multiplayer games. Never really happened. It hasn't been part of my gaming experience. And that's always struck me as kind of a shame. I feel like I've missed out. Be it cooperative or PvP, it's just never really happened for me. That's especially frustrating since I bought Portal 2 the day it came out. And that was, 11, 12, maybe going on 13 years ago. I still haven't played the co-op mode. which I've been wanting to. I've been saying to people I know for years, would you play the Portal 2 co-op mode with me, please? And nobody has. I've been sitting here like a sad little lonely boy.
Well, I think there can be some arrangements in the future.
That would be great, because I avoid spoilers, so I know that there's a plot, there's an extension to the primary plot of the game in the co-op mode, and somehow I've managed to spend over a decade avoiding learning what it is, and I still don't know. So I would love to, please.
Yeah, definitely, we will do that. Now a little bit more on the relaxed side of the topics. What did you watch on the TV in the last few weeks? What did you play?
Well, I suspect you're probably going to slap my wrist for this one. I finally only just got around to starting Strange New Worlds.
Sorry.
Been intending to for absolutely ages, obviously. I have to say, I haven't been the greatest fan of New Modern Trek. I feel like Card especially has massively let me down. So I've been sitting on Strange New Worlds for a while, and I finally got around to watching it, and I was so delighted to find out how good it is. It's genuinely excellent. And I was so happy about that. But yes, I'm only a couple of episodes in, so I'll be spending a great deal of time catching up on that.
Together with my wife, I finally started watching Strange New Worlds.
Well, you too? Yeah. Is there a particular reason it took you so long to get around to it?
It's the same. I hated Discovery.
Yep. To be fair, I wouldn't say I hated Discovery. I would say Discovery did little for me. Yeah, Discovery and Picard, between them, kind of knocked my enthusiasm for New Trek clean out of the window.
I have to say, I really hate it now because the mishandlement of the franchise, basically.
Yeah.
It's not entirely maybe true, but there are some indications to it that they lie to the franchise, they steal from the franchise, in the sense they took in the first seasons the Tardigrade and the whole background story from a video game.
I did hear about that, yeah.
Yeah, it's strange. And they do so many strange things. That's why I basically hate Discovery. Not because they do one big thing wrong. They do multiple things all the time wrong.
I know what you mean. And it Discovery particularly also feels kind of meandering and like they've never had a solid plan for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having specific arcs for seasons. That's definitely legitimate storytelling method. It just felt like it was so sporadic and all over the place with Discovery. It's like, okay, that season's finished. What weird thing do we do next? Let's just make it up as we go along. It would be so much nicer if you felt like they had some form of structure to it. It just feels a bit schizophrenic. Now we're, 1,000, 2,000 years in the future. Oh, all right. Okay, then. So any world building you've done or anything you've built into canon that was pre-original series that you've been kind of, we're just forgetting all that. No, we're done with that. We're going so far ahead now that none of it matters anymore. We can make our own stuff up. What? And you get lost. As I say, I don't particularly hate Discovery, but I did stop caring quite quickly.
That, and they are managing every season finale to fuck up royally. It's unbelievable how they do it. They told us in season 1 they want us to show the big Klingon war, how brutal it is and everything. What do they do at the end? Well, they make a quick sidestep to the mirror universe. There, the story finally works and it was not bad. Then they jump back to the real universe and they solve it basically by telling the Klingon people, hey, I have a big bomb in your planet. Do what I want. That's the Starfleet way.
Yeah.
Then season 2, we had a LAN party during this weekend, or before basically the episode aired, and then we had a LAN party. And we asked a friend what he would imagine in, for example, a Galaxy class, how many shuttles could fit in. What is a realistic number in your mind? He thought and came up with maybe between 20 and 30 shuttlecrafts.
Exactly what I was thinking. 20 and 30. Yeah.
And then we told him, well, according to new Star Trek, it's around 200, 100 per ship. It sounds about right. Wouldn't you say so? And another thing why they fucked up is that basically, I think he's called Tyler. That's another thing. I'm not sure about the names in Discovery. I can't remember them. The
Sleeper agent.
sleeper agent, Tyler. It's Tyler, I think.
Yeah, Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was expelled by the Klingons, and basically they said, if I ever see you, I kill you on sight. Then he stands at the side at the female chancellor and brings the big armada to help the Federation. Could you explain how this works? Or could you maybe explain why you have to jump into the future when you have killed the AI which is threatening the future?
Like I said, it's purely because they changed their minds about the direction they wanted to take the show. I think a lot of it there's been a great deal of obviously backlash from the viewing public, and I think they're constantly on the back foot, thinking, "Oh God, no, they don't like this thing we did differently. What different thing can we do differently now?" It feels, as I say, schizophrenic. It's kind of all over the place. It doesn't feel like it has a structure or a plan, and I think you can feel it when you're watching it.
Yeah, and I guess they have some inspiration from other shows. When you look, I think it was season 3, when they finally explained us how big a starship in that century is. It's basically bigger in the inside. Turbolifts need a lot of space. I think, who came up with those ideas? They can't really say they are big Star Trek fans who study the franchise and know every side, everything. No, you can't say that.
I don't think that's their job, is it? Their job is it CBS or Paramount? Who even owns the rights anymore? Their job is to try and make something that works in terms of modern television. It's not to make something that works in terms of Star Trek lore. The business doesn't care.
Yeah.
Business just wants to rake in as many viewers as possible.
So it's really strange that Strange New Worlds is working finally. It's watchable.
Really is. So I tell you what, I think, as I say, I'm only a few episodes in, but I think the main thing I get the feeling from that makes it work as a Star Trek show is they're evidently sowing seeds for underlying arc or character progression that's going to cross the season, but the episodes themselves are individual stories. They follow the Euripidean structure. We have the proper solid beginning, middle, and end per episode. They're not attempting to weave one narrative throughout the season, and that works perfectly for Star Trek.
And I have to say, that's really a big achievement. You're not there, but you will be. It's the first series where I really emotional at the end.
Oh, lovely.
It's hard to achieve that in Star Trek. There are only a few episodes who ever did this to me. But here, there is one episode. Wow, not bad. Really not bad.
Excellent. Well, I don't know. Some episodes, as you say, it's a rarity because it's not really the target of the program. But some episodes can really hit me in the fields. I mean, clearly, I think, as everyone knows, the absolute best episode ever of Voyager was the one where Janeway and Paris eventually evolve into little lizards, and they have little lizard babies, and the little lizard babies went away, and we never heard from them again. And that hurt me, man. I want to know what happened to those beautiful little lizard love children.
Definitely, yeah.
Sorry,
I guess at some point there will be an episode in Star Trek Online where we meet the lizards again. Since they have the rights for Voyager, I think they will do it.
I will tell you what. Now we have to write that and suggest it to them now.
Sadly, I have to say also Strange New Worlds has some hiccups. The tech is a little bit too good. For example, it's so good that you don't need to change your clothes. You can change it during the beaming process.
Well, you know what? That makes sense, doesn't it? I mean,
It makes sense, but In the era it plays, it's not okay, I think.
I tell you what, if the transporters are filtering out pathogens and viruses and bacteria from your body during transport, I don't see why they couldn't take away all the bacteria that's been building up in your armpits and makes your uniform go a bit whiffy. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm fine with that.
It makes totally sense in that area, but it's placed before TOS, and there they had a wardrobe, so why not use it?
I do appreciate world building. I do like. I mean, let's face it. It is one of the reasons I like Star Trek so much. Is it's got such a huge bunch of nerd stuff to know, which I enjoy and I love. But I think I'm more forgiving than many fans of monkeying with continuity or not getting everything to look exactly. I mean, let's face it. There is no way they could sell a show now if you beamed onto the Enterprise and the bridge looked exactly like it did in the original series. It would get laughed off streaming services. So I'm okay with that. I don't mind playing with it. I'd be very forgiving in shows like Strange New Worlds because it's really engaging me. I'm enjoying it so much. Whereas my problems with Discovery and especially Picard are not ones of continuity or being fair or structured to the original franchise. It's definitely the storytelling, the characterization. It leaves me very cold. But yeah, as I say, Picard especially absolutely broke my heart.
Yeah, definitely. Picard is a whole other beast. It's strange. I don't have a problem if it looks more modern. Of course, it can't look like a show from the 60s. That's totally fine. But it's not so hard to proofread your stuff
This is true, yeah.
and look up, hey, what technology did they have in in that century? Should they have holograms? No, they shouldn't. Okay, then we leave it out. It's not that hard to switch from a hologram to a view screen. Or for example, they beam the changed DNA directly into Spock. It's totally makes sense from the technology side. It's true.
That's the last one I watched. That's the last one. It was with the eye scanners, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
It's so and as a nurse, I have to say it feels a little bit odd that she is this super nurse. She is not only a nurse who treats patient. No, she has those amazing research projects and she's the best and confident and everything. Really? You can't be a normal nurse?
Having said that, I think that's just Star Trek in general, isn't it? I mean, maybe it's encroaching on your personal profession in this instance, but I'm sure there are no end of engineers out there who watch Star Trek. I mean, my dad, for example, was an engineer in the Merchant Navy, and I'm pretty sure he would have said, look, the guys who generally look after the pistons and make sure they're working well don't know how to completely rebuild the engine. Whereas every crewman, every enlisted crewman in Starfleet apparently is an expert in warp theory.
That's true, but okay, it's far in the future and everything, but normally that kind of special research she's doing, that would be off limits for nurses. It would be only doctors or special laboratory personnel who can do stuff like that. It's so out of the field of a nurse that it feels strange.
I can't really comment. It's outside my area of expertise. I mean, if they ever have any web designers for some bizarre reason in Star Trek, I'm sure I'll be able to pick holes in it left, right, and centre.
And sadly, the last thing I can't mention because you haven't watched it, but
No spoilers.
I don't give you too much of a spoiler, but they changed a species to reflect a species from another franchise, which goes more in the horror area. So it's more scary and everything. And
Oh, is that the Gorn?
yeah, exactly, it's the Gorn.
That's the most recent one I've watched. I got them out of order in my head. I haven't actually seen the Gorn yet. I don't know if you get to, but the one where they were playing cat and mouse in a sun with a Gorn ship, I have seen that. It was a good episode, though. I mean, it was nail-biting and tense, and I did enjoy it.
That's true, but it brings me to another thing, which is really sad. I watched basically the entire Star Trek franchise during my time of becoming an adult. So I started, I think I was 6 years old, 7 years old,
I mean,
and there was never a part in previous Star Trek where you couldn't watch anything together as a family. Now you have so much Star Trek stuff which you can't show your kids. It's too hard.
that's true.
And
That's
yeah,
true.
it feels for me a little bit wrong. That's totally a personal thing. I get it.
No, I appreciate where you're coming from.
But I kind of think, why? Why? I don't need that much graphical violence in my content. I'm happy just enjoying a good story. Present me a good story, and I don't need the hardcore stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely there. I tell you what, I'll tell you what, I'll start with a question. What do you think of Lower Decks?
Lower Decks is perfect in the sense that it's presenting our old classic Star Trek. But it's a little bit bonkers.
Is it a bit bonkers? I'm just surprised how well it works, because when I first heard about it, I thought I'm gonna hate this, and I didn't go into it intending to hate it, but I kind of felt like I probably would, and I was so delightfully surprised at how much I like it.
I like it, but it's always a little bit of a small stomach ache in the back. So, really, you're on your first date, having a nice evening, and you're disliking the girl because she doesn't enjoy the same excitement by looking at a error message, basically. That's why you don't see her anymore. It's so silly.
I think, and I tell you what, that is the kind of thing that I thought I wouldn't like about it. I felt like it would have. I mean, for example, I like Rick and Morty, but I wouldn't expect it to work in Star Trek, and that's what I thought it would be. I thought, or maybe things like Family Guy, American Dad, Seth MacFarlane style animated comedy humor. That's what I thought we'd be getting, and there's a degree of that in there. I think but I thought it would be too, or I expected it to be too broad, to smack you over the head. Ha ha! Isn't this funny? Laugh now. And I was so happy to find out it's better written than that. It's got a genuine sense of wit, which I wasn't expecting, and the fact that it's set within a Star Trek universe and has callbacks and references that my nerd brain lights up and goes, "Oh, I know what that is just icing on like icing on the top." But I expected to be one of two things: either an unfunny reference fest, or a broad smack you around the head, obvious humor, obvious setup, obvious joke. And it's been neither of those things. And so I've just been enjoying it on that basis.
It definitely works well, and I really enjoy that they finally decided in that series, basically in that series alone, that hey, you have a franchise, maybe you should use the same sounds, the same looks, and everything from that franchise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that. But humor is always a strange thing. It's always different in every human, I would say.
Yes, it's definitely subjective. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only series which gets both right for me is also the only Star Trek series, I think, which is currently on. The other ones are just false propaganda. It's Star Trek The Orville. That's amazing humor and amazing graphics and a positive view.
I do love the Orville. It's I would say that first season was rocky.
Yeah, definitely.
And there were certainly examples of, as I was saying, that Seth MacFarlane broad, whack you over the head humor. We had, I mean, in the first season, we had the character who came in as the security officer, I think, briefly. You know, the guy whose nose reconnected to his stomach.
Yeah.
And just the things like him loudly eating his lunch at his workstation, that kind of thing, and everybody looking awkward and feeling bad about it. I didn't like that. It felt so out of place, considering some of the excellent stories they were telling. And I was so happy on the second season to see they were sweeping that stuff aside and turning it into a proper science fiction show that was still lighthearted but took its plots and its characters seriously, and it really took off for me at that point.
The balance between humor and seriousness is amazing in that series.
It took them a while to find their feet, but when they did, they absolutely ran with it. Yeah, I've been absolutely loving the Orville.
As a father, I also have to say it was really emotional to see in the last season the episode about the captain's daughter, basically, and the one where oh god, I'm so bad with names today. The pilot basically is traveling back in time, and he has their whole family, and he basically wants to fight for his family.
Yeah, that one was excellent. And you're right, I'm terrible with the character names as well. Scott Grimes. Why can I think of the actor's name and not the
Yeah, I know the actor, but I don't know the character.
Yeah, no, his performance in that was spectacular. You're right. The when he realized, you could see it in his face when he realized they're going to go back and they're going to prevent this from ever happening. The frustration and sense of helplessness in his face was perfectly executed. It was so good.
And the ending, you wouldn't expect that the captain is just saying, okay, fine, we're going, and change history again. And he can't do anything. So,
Yeah.
holy cow, what are you doing? And on top of that, you have to say it's a perfect slap for Picard. In Picard, you also have at the end of the last season a character who wants to stay in the past, and everybody is fine with it. So here you see it, how it should be done.
Yeah. Oh god. You know what? We probably shouldn't talk about Picard because that's going to be the entire morning gone, and all it'll be for your viewers is just, I think, us bitching about how terrible it is.
Oh yes. So I would say we ended here with a quick unboxing of my other addiction beside YouTube, Twitch, my family, and job. I made the big mistake and I bought from Eaglemoss before they went bankrupt an XL version of the Voyager. And yeah, I bought a few more before they went finally bankrupt.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, it's really a shame. It's unbelievable what we are missing in the future. So just let me switch to the camera.
So I only a couple of years ago even found out about Eaglemoss and their models.
Yeah, me too. I never knew about them.
I only heard about them because do you ever watch a YouTube channel called Junk Ball Media?
Yeah.
His videos when he usually references Eaglemoss models when he's talking about ship designs and things. That was how I found out about them.
So if you watch the stream, you can see the model. The first one I want to open is the Defiant. I basically choose the small version of the Defiant because the quality improvement of the big one isn't that big, and I think a Defiant should be small.
A little ship.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be the same size as a Galaxy class. Did you buy anything from Eaglemoss?
No, I haven't. No, because at the moment I don't have the space anywhere to display anything.
It's a nice little model.
How did it dock?
Yeah, definitely here where the deflector is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, I think, a good size. It fits in my hand perfectly. You have a small booklet here.
The house always wins.
What was your favorite episode for the Defiant?
I can't remember the episode name, but towards the end of the series in general, the one where they got hit by the green energy dampening weapon and the Defiant got destroyed, I remember the first time I saw it explode, and how utterly shocked I was.
Give it a second. Wait. I think maybe you can see it. That should be it.
Oh! Yep, that'll be the one with everyone escaping and the coffee tables. I always thought the escape pods looked like coffee tables.
Definitely. Big coffee tables from First Contact.
Mm.
It's funny, Eaglemoss is using basically the entire collection of Star Trek facts and info. It was a big collection back in 2000s. But there are some concepts here I never saw. For example, this one.
I have, and the only reason because, as I mentioned, Junk Ball Media, he did a video on the design of the Defiant, and he covered some of these concept pieces. How it originally started out like they bolted on extras onto a runabout and things like that, and shifted on from there. Yeah.
But I have to say, I think they have done some upscaling because this picture looks so nice. You can't really see the quality, I guess, on the stream, but it looks so clear and everything. I like it. Small little ship. There's of course a stand, but we don't need the stand. It sits here perfectly on my desk.
That's gorgeous.
And now the big one, which is of course also fixed. Perfect tool for that job. Ah, come here.
Oh, here we go. Everyone's favorite, and if it isn't your favorite, you're wrong. Though I'll be honest, I like the Sovereign class more. Don't tell anyone.
And I'm a little bit more on the Voyager side.
Oh, really?
It's straight. I really prefer from the look and feeling the holy cow, the Galaxy.
Ah, that's grand.
And heavy. The saucer section is full metal. This is plastic. So it will tip forward.
That is going to need its stand, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But the quality.
Oh, wow, that's really detailed, isn't it?
Really, really nice.
See,
That definitely needs a stand.
you asked if I'd got any, and I said no, and now I'm really tempted.
It was the same. It was the same on my side. I just thought, hey, I want the Voyager, the XL version. It has more details. Of course, you are stubborn. Let's see. I can do it. That's the problem. The Voyager stand is a little bit on the weak side. Oh, hi. Thanks for the follow. How are you doing? Do you also collect Eaglemoss ships? I wanted to say the stand for the Voyager is a little bit too weak. I think this could work better if I can fit the saucer in here. Be here. Why don't you? Or maybe... Let's read the manual. Don't be a noob.
No! Don't admit defeat.
It's exactly where I want it. I don't want to pressure the hull too much. Stupid. The designer can't be wrong. It's not possible, even though it was on the Intrepid. Guess I have to push it a little bit more.
I understand your trepidation. I know that feeling of, no, I should probably, if I push a little bit harder, it might break.
the problem could really be that the pictures are from the normal version and the XL version. Oh, yeah, that could it be.
Really?
I'm not sure. We tried.
Surely not.
Yeah, no. No, I don't try that.
Well, I tell you what, that would probably work if. How detailed have they been? Does the saucer separate?
No, sadly not.
Because you can probably stand the drive section in there.
Some tried that already. It be? No. I guess I will play with that feature a little bit later. I can show you the problem on the Intrepid in a second. I just finished the magazine. That's another thing I would like to see in modern Star Trek. Many of the creators here on that picture are still alive. Use them. As long as they are alive, you can use the knowledge from, what? 30 years of Star Trek production?
Do you think that's possibly one of the reasons that the Orville is doing so well? Because is it Brandon Braga they brought in as an executive producer?
Yeah.
And I certainly think that helps.
Exactly. Oh, originally they wanted to make the view screen a lot bigger.
I see. This is an argument I have with my wife. I think our television should be a lot bigger.
You mean I can upscale everything? The uniforms in the first few seasons were
Oh, God,
ugly.
they were terrible, weren't they?
They were
Yeah.
really terrible.
Can't
Oh,
believe it took
yeah.
them. They had to complete 2 seasons before someone just thought, hang on a minute. Holla.
I guess that's how I should use it. Just drill a hole in it.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
It would fix it.
Yeah, there we go. Picard especially did not, Patrick Stewart did not suit the original uniforms because it made his neck look like he was a turtle. Sort of extending his head out of his shell.
It's
And
so
as soon as
true.
they put a
It's
collar
so
on them,
true.
everybody looks so much better.
Be right back. I just get the Intrepid.
Thank you very much.
So here we are. Just cleaning a little bit the stand.
That's gorgeous as well. So similar awkward question as I had with the saucer to on the Enterprise. Do the nacelles articulate? Can you put them up?
No, sadly no. It would be
You can only
nice.
ask so much
It
from a
would-
model, can you?
Here I see a little bit more clearly the misalignment of the windows. Basically, they are not entirely there where the window should be. You have the, how to say it, the not scars, the small dents in the metal, and the paint is a little bit misaligned.
Ah, I see.
But if you look from here, just a few centimeters away, you don't see it anymore.
Oh, you'd never tell, no.
And the original version was holded that way. Wait, I just move it. Wait for the picture. And this doesn't work. It's too heavy.
because- Yep.
So the only thing you can do is holding here. But you see, it drops very quickly.
Yeah.
So it sits perfectly. Just small and it drops. Just a small push.
Well, this is the spectacular thing, isn't it? I believe it was instruction specifically from Roddenberry right from the very start of the original series that the ships shouldn't look aerodynamic because the whole point of them is they're built in space, they move in space, they're decommissioned in space, they don't have to make sense in the gravitational environment. It was intentional to make them look like spaceships, which then becomes problematic when you're trying to balance your incredibly highly detailed and very front-heavy
Watch the wheel.
Galaxy-class Enterprise.
Especially if it's in metal.
Yeah.
And another thing, I think there isn't a really good Lego version of Star Trek. There is from the TOS era, from Mega Bloks, a nice Constitution class, but from Blue Bricks, I really don't enjoy their quality stuff. It's good quality, don't get me wrong, but it's not. The saucer section of the Intrepid, for example, it doesn't look nice as a Lego. The bricks, you can't say Lego because it's a trademark. I don't know the English term. In German, it's Klemmbaustein. Just parts who keep together, basically, translated.
Don't even know if we have a word for it.
Yeah, a big German YouTuber gets often some complaints from Lego by the lawyers that he can't say Lego.
You can't say it because, yeah.
It's not a Lego piece, it's a Klemmbaustein. Yeah, that's the crazy world we're living. Okay, I would say we're done with the breakfast a long time ago.
Yes.
It took us a little bit longer than I expected, but it was fun. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed this morning. Thank you, Captain.
Yeah, thanks you too. And have a good day, everybody. Bye bye.